and widescreen, then of course it'll be like something else. It'll be like over here somewhere, but it'll be up there somewhere. So make sure that you utilize those reaction buttons to show support for the show. And let's go ahead and get started, because if I ask you this question, it's something that people think about, but they don't really think about it. But what if you could slash your monthly bills by 30% and at the same time have your savings invested in one of the world's hottest markets? Like being able to put it everywhere it needs to be at and saving money while you're doing it. I mean, it's fantastic, but it isn't a fantasy. It's a real life financial strategy that a growing number of savvy people are using right now. And it's found in a place that you guys would not really expect, Greece. So, over the next couple of hours, we're a long show, but at least the next hour, if not the next couple hours, I'm going to be showing you exactly how this the Greek loophole, this is going to be fun. The puns that are going to be here, how this stuff works. We'll be breaking down how it combines a drastically lower cost of living with a supercharged investment scene, and how you can use it to build serious wealth while living an incredible life. Now, the problem that we usually have is the squeeze of the American dream. So let's be real. For a lot of us, the traditional dream feels like it's slipped away. Like it's not even a dream anymore, it's more of a nightmare. You feel like you're running faster and faster on a treadmill, but you're not actually getting anywhere. We identify this as a fast paced life. You work hard, maybe get a promotion or a small raise, but then you look at your bank account at the end of the month and wonder, where did it all go? Or you knew where it went and you have an even bigger problem. You don't have enough and you're asking yourself, where do you get the rest from? Your rent or your mortgage takes a monstrous bite out of your paycheck. A trip to the grocery store feels like a splurge, and healthcare, let's not even go there. It's a constant source of anxiety. A system that feels designed to drain your bank account at the first sign of trouble. Now, you're told to save for retirement, to invest for the future, but what's actually left over for you to do that? I mean, for millions of people, especially here in the United States, the answer is not nearly enough. You see the headlines about inflation and rising interest rates. We were talking about it yesterday, how interest was going to be almost 3% for 2026. We're looking at taxation um, hurting us, where typically out of our normal income, we're looking at about 20%. Maybe if the new two-tier tax bracket kicks in, where he does 30 and 15, we'll hit 15%. But if you're being taxed 15% and then being taxed another 3%, you're still almost taxed a flat rate 20%. And you feel like it's hitting you right in the gut, because I mean, Jesus, like there's so much going on, because you're paying interest on your mortgage, you're paying interest on your car insurance, you're paying taxes on the money that you profited from, taxes on the money that you've spent, and then inflation costs on the products that you buy. It's just money coming out of your pocket everywhere. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do, but the goalpost keeps moving. I mean, the whole idea of financial freedom, of a life with less stress and more experiences, starts to feel like a fairy tale. So you're stuck earning and spending, with the pressure building every single year. Your investments, if you have them, are probably just tracking the S&P 500s, unless you've been following us here on This and That, where our investment opportunities are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And that's fine, but it's not life changing. Pennies on a dollar way more than what you get from the bank, but not nearly enough. It's not going to buy back your time or give you the freedom that you're really after. Now, this is a feeling of being financially trapped, and this is just an exhausting feeling to have. If you guys agree, please say yes in the comment section. Now, I want you to understand it kills your creativity and limits all of your choices when you're exhausted and frustrated, stressed out. You start to think that this is just the way things are, that mentality of it is what it is. It's truly whatever you let it be or whatever you make it. But when you're grinding so hard that you have to grind it out for the next 30 or 40 years and just hope for the best, you give up on other alternatives, other ideas of how to change this for something better. You put your dreams on hold, and the dream of traveling the world, of starting a business, working for yourself, of spending more time with your family, of simply breathing without the weight of financial pressure on your chest. It's staggering. But what if there was another way, a way to finally break that cycle? Our solution, the Greek loophole. It's not the glory hole. I know some of you guys were hoping that that's what we were going to be talking about today because some of you want to get a really good chuckle. That's not what it is. Uh, this is where a loophole comes in because it sounds almost too good to be true, but it's grounded in a powerful economic reality. It's about strategically combining two things that are happening at the same time. So the first thing is a dramatically lower cost of living. And I'm not talking about pinching pennies. I'm talking about completely overhauling your expenses where your monthly budget for a comfortable living, even beautiful life, gets slashed by 30, 40, or even 50% compared to the costs in the United States. And this isn't about deprivation, it's about living a richer life for a lot less money. This is the fuel for the loophole. It's the cash you free up every single month. The second part is the investment engine. Now, this is what you do with that fuel, the extra money that you freed up. Instead of just letting those savings collect dust or wasting them on luxurious spending, you put them to work in what is right now one of the most dynamic and undervalued investment markets in the developed world. A market that's quietly having a major comeback, generating huge profits for those who are paying attention. So that's the Greek loophole. You radically lower your living costs, which creates a ton of monthly savings. Then you reinvest that money into the very economic standings that's allowing you to live so affordably and an economy that happens to be on a massive upswing. So you stop trading your time for money in an expensive environment and start making your money work for you in an affordable, high growth one. Not a lot of people think about it like that. You're essentially playing a different game on a different field with rules that are titled or tilted in your favor. So this is the success of you title of these rules, right? So let's break down the first part of this loophole because I mean, we're going to be getting into the scoop and the skinny of this. The shockingly lower cost of living. That's going to be one of the things that's going to make this the most possible. This coffee is fantastic. When I say you can live for 30% less, what does that really mean? Because we've covered a lot of countries, and some countries, yeah, you probably could, but you would deal with the culture shock of not having the American style standard of living that you're used to, which might cost twice as much as what they would be capable of paying for the standard of living that's broadcast to be so cheap. But let's get down into the real numbers, because truth is that you can live a very, very good life. And usually it's around $2,000 to $3,000 a month for the total standard of living in other countries. That's not the United States, where you would not be able to survive in that financial standing in the current economy. As a rough estimate, a single person's monthly expenses in Greece, not including the rent, hovers around $882, while a family of four might be looking at about $3,000, $3,027 at best. Now, of course, this varies with your lifestyle, but let's compare that to what you're probably spending now. For most Americans, housing is the monster that eats the biggest chunk of their income. This is where Greece delivers the first big win for your wallet. Rental costs in Greece are, on average, significantly lower than in major United States cities. So let's take Athens, for example, the country's biggest and most expensive city. Even the difference here is wild in comparison to where we come from in America. A modern one bedroom apartment in a good central neighborhood might run between $700 to $1,200 per month. Let's call it $1,200 on the high end. In a smaller neighborhood in a city like Austin or Denver, you'd be lucky to find anything, and I mean anything, for under $2,200 a month. And New York or San Francisco, double that. Right there, you have potentially saved thousands of dollars a month, and that's just $12,000 a year just on rent. Okay, now it's true that in some of the most popular central Athens neighborhoods, prices have risen sharply thanks to high demand. So the savings might be a bit less dramatic there. But what if you looked outside the capital? In Thessaloniki, Greece's cold second city, these prices dropped again. And in a smaller city like Patras or Kalamata, you can find a great spacious place for a fraction of that. It's not crazy to find a lovely 2 or 3 bedroom apartment for a price of a shoebox studio in mid-tier American cities. And buying property, now that's a whole other level of affordability. While prices are rising, which is great for the investment side of things, they are still way below most of Western world. So imagine actually owning your home outright. Your budget's monthly bill entirely and differently than what you normally would, right? Because in Greece, that's not a pipe dream. It's a reality. It's a real goal. Okay, so housing is huge, and that's a big win. But what about day-to-day life? Now, this is where the quality of life really shines, because groceries in Greece are about 25 to 30% cheaper than in the United States. So a single person can expect to spend around $250 to $230 a month on groceries, while a family of four might spend between $600 and $800 a month. And this isn't about buying processed junk. It's about an abundance of fresh local foods. One of the best parts of Greek life is the laiki Agora, which is the local farmers market that pops up every day in every neighborhood, at least once a week. So if you could imagine every day or at least once a week, the local market is in your neighborhood with fresh foods like a traveling grocery store. Could you imagine Walmart just set up shop down the street from your house and be like, hey, we're open this week? I mean, that would be fantastic. Just that thought in and of itself. But being able to do that for under $800 for a family of four, under $400 for yourself, that's fantastic. Most of us have to drive 2-3 hours to the nearest good Walmart where we can get the high quality foods. But imagine this though, you can buy incredible fruits and vegetables, olives, honey, and cheese directly from the producers for next to nothing. Far cheaper than processed preservatives and the stuff that we get out of grocery stores in America. Eating out is a huge part of the culture, and it's refreshingly affordable as well, because a great meal at a traditional taverna with a glass of wine can cost you around $15 to $20. Closest you're going to get to that is the buy one get one meal at Olive Garden, which is like $50 plus drinks. Break it down to $25 a plate plus drinks. You're spending like $28 plus tax, puts you at about $30 or $35 per person. Mandatory $60 minimum, not the same. You might find a deal like that at what is it, Chili's? The $25 meal, the two pair or whatever they call that at Chili's. Yeah, still burgers and fries for $25. There it is again. Got it. Shut it down before it started up. Woot! Now, in a similar restaurant in the United States, you're easily looking at $40 to $50 for the same quality. Your morning Freddo espressos, a daily ritual here in Greece, will set you back about $2. Not the $6 or $7 that you're used to, or like the $12 or $15 that I end up spending when I go to Starbucks, which is why I started making my own Starbucks coffee at the house using the Two Rivers coffee. They got coffee that tastes like caramel, blueberries, chocolate, peanut butter, coconut, like all in the same cup of coffee. Like, it is fantastic. I have not found better tasting coffee at such a cheap price. It's like, if I remember correctly, I think it's like $30 a case for like 40 cups of coffee. I'm making cups of coffee, bro. This is a 36-ounce thermos. I'm making cups of coffee. I'm making 40 of these out of a case of coffee from them. That's way cheaper. This venti cup would be $15. I probably, if you're thinking about the $30 or $40 for the 40, you divide that up, you're probably paying like $1 to $1.50 per individual Keurig cup, which makes one 36-ounce cup of coffee for $3. Look, I'm already living the life. I'm trying to save. I need a lot of coffee and it's expensive. But think about this though. Being able to do that, this is going to mean that you get to go out, socialize, enjoy the country's amazing food, and not just for an special occasion. It's just a normal part of life, just going out and, hey, how you doing, saying what's up to your neighbor. Y'all know how we used to do it back in Louisiana before Hurricane Katrina and the wall falling down and law enforcement trying to take everybody out. Politics. Now let's talk about the boring but important stuff. Monthly utilities for the typical apartment, including your electricity, water bill, heating, garbage. Usually be about $150 to $300 depending on your usage. High speed internet is reliable and cheap, more reliable than the high speed internet that I'm dealing with right now, which is around $25 to $35 a month. And a cell phone plan can be as low as $10 a month. And it all adds up because it's almost certain that the big savings is going to be there compared to what you would have paid for the same stuff in the United States. Because I can tell you right now, the company phone bill is like $355. And that's just the phone bill. I just went over so much stuff that would have been $300 combined. And I'm like, nah, just the phone bill. Getting around is cheaper too because public transportation in Athens to uh, Thessalonica, it's hard to pronounce, is efficient and extensive. So, meaning long distance. And a monthly pass is only about $30 to $40. Like Heartline here in Florida is like $65, $75 a month just for the inner city, not for like the outskirts in the rural areas. You got to get off the bus and walk the rest of the way. So while gas prices are high, whenever there's a war going on, gas prices seem to creep up a little bit higher. Like in most of Europe, many people find that they don't even need a car in the cities. And a typical taxi ride across Athens might only be about $7.50, which is cheaper than Uber because Uber starts you at about $6.90 when the ride first takes off. By the time you get out of the car, you're paying $12 to go 3 miles, 5 minutes away. Jesus. This is a big one. Now, for any Americans, healthcare and the cost of it are massive sources of stress. And a lot of us deal with the stress of healthcare by not taking care of ourselves. We sacrifice our physical condition to save money. I wouldn't recommend it, but whatever you got to do to make ends meet, right? In Greece, you can finally breathe out a little bit. The country has a public health care system, and as a legit resident, you can get access to it. Many expats also get private health insurance for extra convenience, and the cost is a tiny fraction of what you pay in the United States. So we're talking a few €100 a month for great coverage, which euros to dollars are very close in nature. But you're still not paying thousands of dollars plus thousands of dollars more, where many Americans pay high deductibles on their plans, plus they pay the difference of what their plans don't cover. This doesn't just save you a ton of money, it removes a huge stress and psychological burden that most people linger with in their medical lives. Now, when you add all of this stuff up, the thousands saved on rent, hundreds saved on daily life, and huge reduction in healthcare costs, the picture becomes crystal clear. You freed yourself from the constant financial pressure of American life, and you now have serious cash surplus every single month. And that brings us to the next steps where you can just enjoy the extra breathing room, and that alone is a massive win. But if you could and you wanted to achieve true financial escapes, you don't just have to spend less. You would not have to change your philosophy. You just take those savings and put them to work. And that's the second part of this loophole, investing for massive profits. Now, this is where it gets really exciting because you've cut your living costs and created a powerful stream of cash. Now we're going to pour that fuel on a fire that's already burning bright. The Greek economy today is not one you remember from the debt crisis headlines or the Colosseum. Are you not entertained? That's not what we're talking about right now. This is a story of the Greek phoenix rising from the ashes, and it's quietly become one of the most compelling investment stories in the world. Now, first, the big picture is the Greek economy projecting to grow by a strong 2.2 to 2.3% in 2025, which is well above the Eurozone average. Now, this is the result of years of tough but necessary reforms, a tourism boom, a surge in foreign investments, and a huge EU funds for new projects. The country's debt to GDP ratio is falling fast, and institutions like the IMF are giving Greece a solid thumbs up for an investor. And if you think about that, this stable, high growth environment, which is perfect for the foundation of building wealth on. So, how do you get in on this growth? Well, let's look at four ways. For the past couple of years, the Athens Stock Exchange has been a silent superstar. It's been called the world's best performing stock market, with gains that have soared as high as 35 to 47% in a single year. While major US and European markets were posting single digit gains, Athens was in a league of its own. Forbes even called it the hottest stock market in the world. And that's saying a lot coming from Forbes. The big question is there still room to grow? Because major financial players like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs think so, giving Greek stocks an overweight rating and citing a great balance of moderate risk and high potential returns. So here's the key. Even after this incredible run, the Greek market is still cheap. The stocks are trading at a price to earnings ratio of around 10, which is a 35% discount compared to other European markets. So you're basically buying into a high growth story at a bargain price. Now, the banking sector has been a huge driver. After years of cleaning up their books, Greece's banks are now highly profitable and are rewarding investors with huge dividends. And the yields are somewhere around 10% or more, and share buybacks exist. Now, it's a great combination because you get paid while you wait for the stocks to the stock value to grow, which is the same as what we're doing when we're buying stocks, the ex dividends that we're getting paid for being in possession of those stocks. Fantastic. If stocks feel too abstract, let's talk about something that you can see and touch. Real estate. Real estate is always a fantastic thing to get into. Every country around the world, there's always incentives from every country, including America, about developing in high-risk neighborhoods, underdeveloped neighborhoods, rural neighborhoods. And if you just find those incentives and get involved, you can find yourself peaking in places where most people would not touch to invest. And if you're doing buy and holds, you can turn a profit off of every property that you produce, because you're going to own it, leverage the debt as a tax blanket, and then pocket the profit. Fantastic. The Greek property market is in the middle of a major boom. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, residential prices rose by an impressive 6.8% to 9.2% year over year. In a city like, again, Thessaloniki, hard to pronounce, that number was closer to 10%. This isn't a bubble. We have bubbles. Our real estate bubble lasts about 8 years and then it pops. If I remember correctly, it last popped at 16, and because of what just happened just now, we're 24, where 8 years. It took a dump between April and June, and now it's slowly coming back up. Welcome to recession. Well, we're crawling out of it now, but nobody noticed it. We just realized that life sucks and we stay broke. But we just survived yet another, because it happens every 8 years. But in Greece, it's driven by a solid fundamental growing economy and a massive tourism sector that fuels demand for short-term rentals, like an Airbnb setup. So you could buy an apartment or earn rental income from it, with yields projected to be between 4.5 and 8% in some areas, and watch the value of the property itself grow over time, where most real estate investors leverage the value of their properties as collateral to capital gains. Well, not capital gains, but capital to invest in other monetary ventures that allows them to turn over even more revenue. That is a fantastic thing to observe. This brings us to the famous Greek golden visa. For serious investors, this program offers a path to EU residency. The rules were recently updated and are newly tiered, where an investment of about $800,000 is prime areas like Athens or Mykonos, $400,000 in other specific cities, or $250,000 for properties converted from commercial to residential use, that can grant you and your family a 5-year renewable residence permit. So if you're spending between $250,000 and $800,000 in certain areas around Greece, you can just fall into the visa. Now, this unlocks a visa-free travel across Europe's Schengen zones. And as these rules can change, you should always check the latest official requirements. But you should be able to, at least right now, be able to walk over there and spend $250,000 on something real estate related, and you got it. And if you're spending it if you're spending it on more than one property, where you can at least rent out one property, and if you've got an LLC in the United States or a C corporation in the United States, and you're going to try to bring that over as a foreign domestic real estate development company, most of the time, depending on what country you're going to, you can get a work visa that allows you to get in there for the first 12 months to establish that business. And you drop that $250,000 down, and you might be able to slide into a 5-year residency before your travel visa expires, which allows you to be in there for a good 6 years before you got to do anything different, which allows you to build up your business or come back to it later, because 5 years. Now, want to go a level deeper? Think about this. Sophisticated investors are looking into a unique sector. One is litigation finance. And before I started looking into this, even I was not aware that this was a thing. Litigation finance is where you fund a legal case in exchange for a share of the settlement. Did you know that most countries, including the United States, has this as an option? I didn't know that. It's a niche market, but its performance isn't tied to the stock market, making it an interesting way to diversify. And the thing is, so imagine this now. you're basically looking at a lawsuit. You're looking at like a class action suit or any type of profile case. For example, you got those individuals. Even here in America, it's a thing like litigation finance. You've got people who have an open and shut case that could lead to a settlement far exceeding the startup costs that the attorney is asking for as a retainer. And the sad part is that the average American cannot afford the startup cost. And if individuals who were in litigation finance leveraged investing in people's legal actions better than a lawyer, because lawyers are limited by law to a specific quantity of capital, you could contract yourself into this litigation where you are entitled to a specific percentage of the settlement above and beyond your initial payment to reimburse you for the case. Yeah, there's risk, because if the case turns out as a loss, they don't settle it, and there isn't a verdict in favor of the person you paid for, the fact is you lose out on your money. But if the case goes to trial and the person that you invested in wins, you're going to end up with more than what you would get if they don't settle out of court before the trial. Most legal actions settle out of court. So it's almost an easy guaranteed victory with litigation finance. And it's a big thing over in Greece. If I would have known, litigation finance is now added to the list of things that we can do right next to tax liens, tax deeds, and simply contacting the owners of real estate properties and offering to directly compensate for their tax liens under a financial contract that puts the house in a lien to the person who does the lending, which prevents you from waiting for the government to reimburse you on your tax lien investment, because you would be the middleman for the government and say, hey, I'm a contract with you under the conditions that I get your house if you don't pay me, and you give X, Y, and Z to or I'll give X, Y, and Z on your behalf to the government, which clears up all of your tax liens. And now you just got to pay me a certain quantity of money with interest. Likewise, you write it into the contract that they'll be responsible for the breach of contract for non-payment, including the cost of court, which puts you in a position where you can put a lien on the house, foreclose on the house, sell the house, and then get the difference off of the house and the cost of court and your fees with whatever interest up until the case got closed, of the contract was breached, and turn you a little bit of a profit. But the fact is, there's gains there. Everything is a risk. Stock market is a risk. Bitcoin is a risk. Litigation finance is a risk. But this is an option that nobody knew existed. But this is common knowledge. It's a niche market, but its performance isn't tied to the stock market. That's what you got to remember. So another area is private credit, where you lend money to growing businesses that need capital, often for attractive returns. Now, we are aware of that. It's not called private credit in America. In America, it's called an angel investor. Either way, you're putting money into the pockets of small businesses or struggling businesses for a premium, so that if that business succeeds, you get paid. Now, these are advanced strategies, but they show the depth of opportunities here. Finally, the master stroke. And I know when we hear master stroke, we think of way different. But for high net worth individuals, Greece offers one of the most attractive tax setups in Europe. It's a special non-dimensional tax regime. Here's how it's going to work. If you move your tax residency to Greece, meaning that you pay Greece taxes, not the United States, and make a significant investment, you can apply to pay a flat tax of 100,000 per year, no matter how much income you earn from foreign sources. So if you're a millionaire, multimillionaire, high earner, and you switch your taxes to Greece first, America second, you only pay 100,000 a year, which is fantastic because you can claim everything under the sun, and the most they're going to charge you is 100,000. The eligibility depends on specific program rules, so you'll need to verify with a tax advisor, but the potential for that particular benefit is huge. But think about it. If you earn $2 million a year from outside of Greece and you pay $100,000 in taxes, an effective rate of 5% is there. Because if you earn 5 million, it's going to go down because it's flat rate $100,000 taxes, which frees up money immensely to reinvest and grow your wealth around the world. Now, let's be honest, no place is perfect. And you need to go into this with your eyes wide open. So, the same things that make Greece so attractive to investors, the tourism and real estate boom, are creating a real housing crisis for locals. So, rents have shot up in the city centers and property prices have surged, pricing many Greeks out of their own neighborhoods. Now, for individuals who are aware of that, if you're going into the house market and you're aiming for a lower profit margin, you can undercut the current housing market by buying the house at market value and then charging less for the rent. Potentially seeking any type of government support program for low income environments. You have to check with local government first, though, to make sure that they have one of those programs available. Because in America, we have Section 8 programs, HUD programs, which HUD and Section 8 are not the same thing. But they are programs where they give you reasonable rate rent for on the behalf of tenants, which means that if you were able to get signed up with those particular programs, you would be able to get guaranteed money because the money's coming from the government, not from the unsure stability of the tenant themselves, which a lot of us who are greedy about money in America will aim for middle class and upper middle class renters. And those renters are solid when they first move in, but when they change careers or lose their jobs or get injured, their income stops. Individuals that are on mandatory government funds, until those mandatory government funds cease, it is a guaranteed consistent paycheck where the only thing you have to do is maintain the validity of the residents. How wages are rising, they haven't kept up with the housing costs, as is every country around the world. And this is a source of real social tension. And it's something that you need to be aware of as a foreign investor, because when you go in there, not only are they going to like you for being a foreigner, they're going to dislike you for being a foreigner that is costing them to spend more money. Now, if you turn out to be one of the foreigners that's helping them save a little bit of money or not have to spend as much money as other foreigners, you might be well liked all the way around. But thinking about what they're going through and how you're going to impact that when you decide to invest in real estate is one of the ways that you make yourself more widely liked in your society. There's an infamous Greek bureaucracy there, though. So things haven't gotten much better with digitalization and dealing with paperwork for residency or taxes can still be a slow and frustrating process. With us, we can jump on TurboTax and get our taxes done in less than an hour. We can get complex taxes done in less than 2 hours. We can literally just start piecing our stuff together over the course of like the last quarter of the year and then just bust everything out before they even produce the new tax forms in January. So the day that tax season officially starts, your stuff is sitting on TurboTax waiting to click the send button, and bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to roll. Automatic direct deposit, government's dropping money into your bank account or not taxing you if you've got enough deductions to be exempt from it. So, we've got it good here, but out there, it's still the snail mail scenario. Remember back in the 80s and 90s when you had to go to a specific location, get the official form that was in like almost construction paper style paper. It felt like the same paper they use for the voting ballots, which is not the same as regular printed paper that we get off of our regular printers and stuff. And then you take that document, you fill everything out. Hopefully you don't make a mistake, because sometimes you got to pay for each copy of this form. And then after you fill everything out, you got to fold it up, stick it into an envelope, send it off, and wait 6 to 8 weeks for a response. And if they send you back a positive response, you're good. But if they send you a negative response, you have to make whatever changes you need to be made, send it back out again, and wait another 6 to 8 weeks for them to respond. Where, keep in mind, in the United States, you can just look at it on TurboTax, and if TurboTax tells you this probably isn't going to fly, you make some adjustments, and then when it says you're green lighted, you send it off and you're good to go. Every now and again, if you get a bounce back that says, they want you to rethink your filings, you get an email about it. You go back in there, click a couple buttons, hit submit a second time, goes back out, and then boom, everything's clear. Which is way different than what they're dealing with in Greece. So patience isn't just a virtue there, it's a survival skill. You'll need a good lawyer and a good accountant, but I mean, if you've got enough money to fly to Greece, you got enough money to pay for a lawyer and an accountant. If you're going to live there with a $250,000 investment, you should be able to put 100 grand aside for a lawyer. Put you a lawyer on retainer. Put the firm on retainer in case the lawyer dies. That way you can get another lawyer out of the firm. And finally, no investment is without risk. You got to remember this, guys. The Greek economy is tied to what happens in Europe and the rest of the world. So the stock market has had a phenomenal run so far, and corrections are a natural part of any cycle. So you do have to remember that you need to do your own research and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Knowing these challenges doesn't weaken the opportunity. It just grounds you a little bit and in the reality of what you're trying to accomplish versus what you're capable of losing while you're trying to accomplish this. The ends do not always justify the means. So you can plan for the hurdles and navigate them wisely. So that's Greece and the loopholes that are related to Greece. It isn't a magic trick. It's a clear, actionable financial strategy. Now, first, you move to a country where your daily life is not just cheaper, but richer and more enjoyable. You slash your expenses, freeing up a huge amount of cash every month. If you decide, excuse me, to make yourself a permanent resident out there, the money that you save, you can spend on investing over there. But imagine that if you flew into Greece on a business visa, got in there for like 12 months, then you flew out of Greece with 30% that you're saving on America. You flew out of Greece and say went to Japan for 3 months and then went back to Greece on another work visa. You would have a 3-month vacation in Japan, 2 years in Greece, and technically you don't have to deal with the whole rigmarole of all the other stuff that we talked about as far as your residency, but you would still be able to build a full-fledged business with 30% less expenses. And like Japan is like 30% of, not 30% less. You could actually live cheaper in Japan or cheaper in the Philippines, because the Philippines is $1,000 cheaper than Greece, and Japan is about $200 to $300 cheaper than the Philippines. So I mean, both of these are far cheaper than America, because I mean, if you're spending like $3,000 a month for a middle to upper middle class standard of living in Greece, where you would be spending $4,000 to $6,000 a month in the poverty-stricken areas of the United States. Imagine how you could literally leave the United States and then leave Greece and go back to Greece and just keep doing that and never come back to the United States and completely save all of the money while still investing in American stocks. There's a lot of things that you can do if you look for another way. Second, if you're taking that cash and investing it smartly into your very economies that's giving you the lifestyle that you need, because that's also the thing with Greece with a 35% increase. Any money you're not spending in the American stocks at a 20% return, if Greece is giving you a 35% return, you can get an even bigger return. You ride the waves of the national economic comeback and get into a boom where the stock market itself is thriving. Go into the real estate sector, in fact, and experience a big boom there as well. You let your money do the heavy lifting in a high growth environment while you yourself enjoy a high quality, low cost of life. Now, this is how you take back control. It's how you stop just treading water and start building real life and developing life-changing wealth. Now, we've covered a lot, but each part of this deserves a closer look. So if you want to step-by-step processes for buying properties in Greek, make sure that you click the like button and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what areas of the stock market you would like to know more information about. If you're looking for information about deep dives into Greece real estate, make sure that you like and subscribe, and then let me know about what areas of Greece would you like to know more about as far as the real estate, because there's a large range of real estate. You have the government contracts versus individual investments, and different zoning benefits, tax benefits that may be related to certain benefits, incentives that are available in there depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. So let me know which ones you want to do. And if you're wondering about the legal side of moving, we can also have another discussion about how to catch that Greek visa with less effort. So many people planning for retirement, looking into a financially independent person visa, let me know. We can go ahead and give you more information about that. And I can put a lot of this information into the membership for those of you that are joining the membership. And this is a popular route to go. The financially independent person FIP visa, very phenomenal. The path to a life of both freedom and abundance often lies in seeing the opportunities that others miss. And here on this and that, when we talk about this, that, and everything in between, one of the biggest things that we do is point out all of the most undervalued, under-recognized, and less known methods of success that are effectively still working that most people do not know about. Remember when we were kids and our parents said, don't be a follower, be a leader? Well, popularity of branding allows followers to follow brands. The other stuff that have not been branded that most people don't follow, still very good, but less people know about it, which makes it undervalued, which allows for the rest of us, the key niche investor, to find those things and put our money to work where we'll have higher returns than the average person. Because yeah, you can buy into Johnson & Johnson, well known since we were babies. Jergens and Johnson & Johnson stock almost $200 a share. But you can also find other cash stocks like PSEC that is a couple dollars a share. Johnson & Johnson putting out less than $1 per share of dividends, even if it's a monthly production. If you've got a $2 stock that's giving you 5 cents a share, you can buy 100 shares of PSEC for the same price as one share of Johnson & Johnson. When you think about stuff like that, it's like, holy snap, 5 cents a share for 100 shares, I will have drawn back $5 or $50 off of this particular stock. Whereas Johnson & Johnson, I would have only gotten $1 off of that stock. The difference is extreme. What you did not know before you came to this and that could have put millions of dollars in your pocket over an extended period of time if you would have been diligently working towards it. The things that everybody knows doesn't put out much for anybody, because it's equivalent to, if a million people win $1 million lottery, everyone gets $1. But if one person wins $1 million lottery, or if one person wins $100,000 lottery, that person made more money than a million people winning that $1 million lottery. The fact is that you yourself can get more off of less because you're not following the lead of everybody else. As a trendsetter, you get in on the ground floor of a good thing, and then everybody else follows your lead, which then compels them to make your investment opportunity just that much more profitable, because you bought into it, then everybody else bought into it, and you're selling while they're holding it, and you get the difference between when it was when you bought in versus where it is when everybody else bought in, and you turn a profit off of everybody else's investment. The path to a life of both freedom and abundance often lies in seeing opportunities that other people miss. Remember that. Greece today is one of those rare moments in time. It's a chance to step off the treadmill and onto a rocket ship of financial success. The only question is, are you ready to take flight? Now, I was sitting over here thinking to myself, we're going to be here for 2 full hours. But it just dawned on me, we bust out Greece in a very short period of time, probably because we didn't have as much open discussion as we normally do, because usually I'm having like 13 different side conversations with all the people in the comment section, but you guys really enjoyed story time today about Greece. So special shout out to the large quantity of you guys that's watching me over on Twitch. I really appreciate you guys for jumping in. Remember, when you come to tomorrow's show, though, that you actually can comment, because I will see those comments and they will be in the comment section down here. Usually in the show, there is a link that you guys can click if you're trying to be appropriate to get onto the show. And then if you approve the mic, approve the camera, then it brings you onto the show in real time. And then we can have open forum discussions when we're having intelligent conversations. And Twitter X, this also applies to you guys as well. There's always a link in the comment section for you guys as well. So if you guys want to be involved in the conversation, you guys can click the link in the comment section or ask where's the link and I'll give it to you, right? Either way, I want to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Now, fellas, I give you guys this information because we are about 70% male driven podcast from the male's perspective. And I give this information to you to help you become higher value men. We work on improving your financial life, and then we work on improving your personal life, because your personal life impacts your decision making with money, which impacts your abilities to make money. And then your financial life impacts your ability to make money, which impacts your ability to enjoy your personal life. And since they play off of one another, we provide you with information for both sides of your life. However, ladies, this is not gender exclusive information. You can take this exact same information and use it to make yourselves higher value women. So it is important that you guys make sure that you like and subscribe and follow the channel and come back on a regular basis to take a listen to all of the information that we have going on the show. We do have live replay, and the comment section should replay live during live replay. So if you come back and rewatch the show, any information that we put into the comment section is usually accessible to you from the live replay comments as the show is replaying. If you have a problem with finding any information after the show, make sure that you let me know in the comment section, and I'll make sure that you get all the information that you need. Those members have exclusive information that's more detailed for the success of those people who are coming from other areas and jumping into the membership. But we are, in fact, live 7 nights a week. We do not let the sun rise without going live, and there's always something new every day of the week. You can utilize those notification buttons to remind you of when the show goes live. Even if you're watching us from Twitch or Twitter, if you use the notification buttons from YouTube, it will give you a push notification on your electronic device, which reminds you that the show is in fact live. This helps you prevent from being left out of any live information, because I do believe the first 15 minutes of the show is edited out after the show goes live. So the morning announcements, the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show, where I'm giving you guys inside scoops on anything that happened before we get to the main topic, usually is gone on the replay. So right after the opening credits, that first 5 or 10 minutes usually disappears right after the show has finished curating for later playback. But any information that you miss, you come talk to me about it in the comment section, and I love to fill you guys in, because the goal with this and that is for us to provide you guys with all of the knowledge that you need to be successful, helping you guys find another way, helping you guys to improve your decision making, and giving yourselves the lives that you're satisfied with having. Tomorrow being Thursday, we have some self-improvement and development advice that we're going to be talking about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Sometimes we theme them throughout the week, where Friday and Saturday plays off of Thursday as we move into Sunday, and Sunday is our questions and comments from the fans. So just note that if you guys got any questions or any statements that you would like to make, as long as they're appropriate, even if you're on Twitter, X, or Twitch, feel free to throw your comments into the comment section, because they are valuable. I try to stick to the method that there is no stupid questions. There's just inappropriate times to ask them. So as long as the questions are formulated appropriately, we'll entertain them, whatever they may be. We've covered everything from STEM topics to financial topics, religious topics, politics topics, governmental conflict topics. We've covered everything under the sun. But now that I got you while I'm thinking about it, remember, because this is like an adult level platform, YouTube has us in a restriction section. So you probably would have to take the time to go into your settings and turn off restricted mode. That way you can see the rest of the shows. Either way, for you guys that are watching, a special shout out to Bangladesh. We are capable of being seen. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to search all of our information off the channel. So that's another thing that we wanted you guys to do. Now, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. Thank you for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And we will, hold on a second. I was just about to slide, and my man just dived in. Special shout out for Michael. Michael's back. Michael's back. I got you in there, Mike. I got you in there. He said, when I was young, my mom used to whip me with a wire coat hanger. After I was born, she started using the belt. Wait, she got you with the wire coat hanger before you was born, and then after you was born, she got you with the belt. Well, if she got you before you were born with the wire coat hanger, that was the old fashioned abortion, but apparently it didn't work. And then and then after you was born, we used to get the old fashioned leather belts and the and the leather belts that we had frayed tips, so it was almost like roots. They used to catch us in the tub. We used to get got we used to get got. So they didn't give us traditional whoopings. We didn't catch whoopings when we did something wrong. We caught whoopings when we forgot that we did something wrong. You know that, oh, I'm gonna get you later statement that parents used to give us back in the day. Oh yeah, we got later. You thought, oh, they forgot about it because we ain't talking. We went to bed thinking, oh, I escaped that behind whooping. Just as sure as you get comfortable in your bed, the blanket come off, here come the belt, you catching it, and you know that you're gonna catch a whooping because you might have got hit in the face with the blanket because your sibling is catching the whooping first, and then you get the delayed whooping, so you know you're next because you can't run. Mama done locked the door, daddy in the house. He done got off from work late, so your ass would came late. Oh my goodness. Ah, those were the good old days before they started making all those ridiculous laws about not disciplining your children. And then when they stopped disciplining your children, now the children are shooting up schools and attacking each other at traffic lights with Glock switches. If you think about it, there's a correlation between child upbringing and out of control children, because back in the day when discipline was discipline and not called child abuse, you had less school shootings. Today, now that parents are afraid of disciplining their children, now you got all these school shootings and traffic light shootings and all of this other stuff. When they stopped with the gun violence in the 80s, you would have thought that when the adults stopped gunning each other down, that the children wouldn't do it no more. But no, no. But you think, is it the gun manufacturer's fault? Because I mean, if these kids was taught how to take their frustrations out on a video game, they would have been playing Call of Duty and GTA 6 instead of out there literally getting a op at the traffic light. But you know, it was a better generation back there, good, bad, and the ugly. But you got to think about this, though, Michael. We grew up to be better men because of the discipline that we received in our childhood, of which children these days do not have that level of discipline. They do not have that level of respect for themselves or their society. And that's one of the reasons why society is not as efficient or effective as it used to be. Partnerships are not as good as they used to be. Brotherly love is not as effective as it used to be. Mutual respect is not so mutual anymore. Self-respect does not exist anymore. They have masked the levels of self-respect with freedom of speech and freedom of projection, so they can disrespect themselves because they are expressing themselves. And then because they're expressing themselves, we're not supposed to judge them because they're misbehaving in comparison to social norms. They do say that he who is without sin, please cast the first stone. I'm not gonna throw a stone. I'll throw a grape. Uh, Flick a booger, uh, because he only said that you had to be without sin to throw a rock. I'm not gonna throw a rock. I'll throw a shoe. He ain't said nothing about those of us that were full of sin to not throw a slipper. I'll throw a slipper. But you gotta understand though, because thou shalt not judge is not, it's a standard that isn't followed, and we will be judged. We're in a society where we will be judged by the people who don't know us, by the people who see us on social media. We will be judged by our friends, our family, our relationships. We will be judged by our professors, our bosses. We will be judged by the police officers, the judges. We will be judged. Judgment comes on many different levels. And certain people will not fuck with you because they have prejudged you before they met you, and you are wondering why life sucks now because people don't like you. In Asia, your entire ability to be liked by your society is the only way you succeed, because you will not get the appropriate funding. You will not get the appropriate employment. You will not get the appropriate housing, because people will not do business with you if they don't like you, or if they don't like your family. Which brings us back to when me and Michael were younger, we were raised to carry ourselves, to represent ourselves and our family. Do not embarrass our family name. Do not embarrass our family lineage. Do not embarrass ourselves, because we, just like in politics, just like in big business, just like in the rich economies, we will be heavily compromised if a relative does something socially unaccepted. A judge would have to step down from their position because a family member committed a crime. A politician would have to quit running because a family member got arrested for a felony, especially if that felony goes against the political campaign of the individual. You know, people's lives get destroyed because of their family heritage, because your reputation is connected to your bloodline, believe it or not. Now, America, we've lived this whole standing that I'm an individual. I don't represent nothing but myself. And then you wonder why you can't get nowhere in life, because your dreams are based off of your decisions, and your decisions compromise your success. It ain't the man, because we've had two men, not back to back, two men going on 8 years between each of them, because they both, Obama had 8 years, Trump had 4 years, he's got 4 more years, and you've got two men that have effectively made the kind of changes that we need made in this economy to benefit middle and lower class families. And if we do not capitalize on the changes that are being made and benefit from the chaos that is our economic status right now, we will forever be fucked over. We can't blame it on the man, because I mean, when the man start giving your baby $1,000 so that your baby ain't broke when they're 18, I don't know what the fuck to say. You can't make yourself successful in this society. I don't know. You need to pack your bags and go to another country. But the problem is that while I give you guys all of this information about packing your bags and going somewhere else and living a cheaper lifestyle, you have to understand that it is more effective to move somewhere else if you are a digital nomad, because you will be able to consistently maintain your income as long as you have internet service. So that means that your US level paycheck of 30, 50, $75,000, $100,000 a year would still be getting made in a country that costs 30% of the standard of living of America, or 30% less than the standard of living of America, where the money that you're no longer required to pay for your American standard of living would be paying for your non-American standard of living. Think about that. And one of the major criteria of being able to successfully pull that off is to have American banks to accept the money from any digital investment that you have. And then you just wire transfer that money to your offshore bank and you're good to go. But as long as it's touching American banks, you got American taxation. So it's your responsibility as to whether or not you notify the IRS that you are entitled to getting your damn money. But for whatever scenario that you end up paying some level of taxation to the government without filing for actual taxes, the government is very unlikely to come and tap you on the shoulder and offer you a refund. They will wait for you to fill out an application and ask for your money back, and then audit you on that application. But if you never tell them, hey, give me some money, they're less likely to do anything other than take whatever you give them and walk away with it. I mean, unless somebody tries to throw you under the bus and swear up and down that you're, hiding money from them. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So I appreciate Michael Wilbur for coming back. He's here almost every night. He be listening in to what we got going on. I really appreciate him. And I want to thank you guys one more time for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.